I want to talk about how we don't talk about. I want to talk about things that we talk about talking about, but we hardly ever talk about. I want to talk about how your balls aren't big enough. I want to talk about evolution of thought starting a revolution. I want to talk about my brothers, my sisters, and how they wish they had a system that listened. I want to talk about how they take out the rubbish and yet somehow the smell still lingers. I want to talk about how close they live to the rubbish dump and the broken down rubbish truck, my brothers, my sisters. I want to talk about walkabout. I want to talk about talking about walkabout. I want to talk about how sometimes in social situations, it's a joke when we talk about walkabouts. I want to talk about what came first, the egg or the chicken, or an easier riddle like, hey, what came first, the invasion or the drinking? I want to talk about war, the poor. I want to talk about how we claim to know about the poor but do nothing. I want to talk about how we claim we want to help the poor, but when we have some loose change, we'd rather lose nothing. I want to talk about how although we don't directly exploit them, but we know that's what governments are for. I want to talk about rich nations, the so-called good men who do nothing but good, only there to exploit the poor so that they can use and abuse them. I want to talk about how they give them debt in the disguise as a limitless credit, and for the countrymen they give them debt, they die and have the audacity to tell their families that your husband died, visualize a decorated patriot, a savior. I want to talk about how one man's savior is another man's killer. I want to talk about how we are all customers, consumers, and buyers of prostitution, masquerading these diamonds, these jewels, claiming that we want solutions. I want to talk about ignorance being bliss and how consciously we are oblivious that these shoes didn't come from some illusion. They came from souls sold and souls bought. I want to talk about how I went to Africa and I saw gold diggers stop digging and they started digging for diamonds. Baby mothers were crying and inside dying. They took a 9-year-old boy and his name was just Brian, and now he's a militant killer, villain, and innocent little boy rebellion, and not because he believes in it, in indoctrinated beliefs, in voluntary thief. Is it the futility of war or the illusion that is peace? You pull up the necessary sign, but diamond encrusted is your peace. I want to talk about women. I want to talk about their sexualization, their objectification, and I want to share my thoughts on penis envy theories. I want to talk about tall buildings with glass ceilings. I want to talk about those buildings without ceilings. I want to talk about Coke bottles. I want to talk about how I went to a place where Coke bottles don't model to be seen as role models, and these kids that don't follow because they know it's so shallow. You see, you have the power that you flex like muscles, and I wouldn't knock your hustle because this world needs peace like puzzles. I want to talk about how we don't talk about. I want to talk about things that we talk about talking about, but we hardly ever talk about. Thank you.